Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today is Thoughtful Thursday. I'm reading a portion of Grace for the Moment by Max Lucado for our Daily Dose today. And I was reading this last week and I was inspired as we were talking about our gifts and our talents and working right alongside of God here because we are God's fellow workers, as we talked about a couple days ago on Tuesday. And listen to what Paul's encouragement was to the church of Colossae in Colossians chapter 1, verses 28 and 29. We proclaim him, admonishing and teaching everyone with all wisdom, so that we may present everyone perfect in Christ. What's Paul saying here? He's saying, hey, it's my goal is to present the gospel to everyone. And as people get presented with the gospel, they accept the saving grace of Jesus Christ. And perfect is that the meaning that we're justified, it's just as if we hadn't sinned, because we are righteous because of what Jesus Christ has done, sacrificed us, paid the price. And this is what he has to say after this here. He says, to this end I labor, struggling with all his energy, which so perfectly works in me. Listen to what Max Lucado writes here about these verses. He says, look at Paul's aim, to present everyone perfect in Christ. Paul dreamed of the day each person would be safe in Christ. What was his method? The counseling and teaching. Paul's tools, verbs and nouns, sentences, lessons, everything that you and I have that Paul used. Do you think it was easier then than now? Max Lucado says, I don't think so. Paul called it work. And Paul says it himself. He says, to this end, I labor. And obviously we know that labor means work. That means homes were visited, people were taught, classes prepared. How did he do it? Where was his source of strength and power? Well, listen, he said, which so powerfully works in me, that his energy, that he tapped into God's strength. And that's where he got it. And that's what we have to understand, is that as we do our part, and God will do his part. And so the question that we have to ask ourselves, the thought-provoking question for Thoughtful Thursday, is, are you trying to do this on your own? Are you trying to be good on your own? Are you trying to represent God on your own? We're going to fall short every time. Here's the thing, we don't have to. We can be empowered by him and his strength. And so as we do our part, and that's the thing that we have to understand, that's labor, that's work. In order for us to think beyond ourselves, to think selflessly and think of others more than ourselves, and be able to share the gospel and to consider them, that's work. But you know what? As we work, God does his part. And so let's trust him. Let's do our part in the natural, but let's trust God for the supernatural. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.